Okay, we've got about a half hour left here, and I want to talk about two things. One, I don't want to go on a big tangent about, but I do want to at least discuss it. I've been seeing some, I don't know if it's clickbait or, um, yeah, just clickbait or noise about the Supreme Court getting rid of permits in the country and what that'll look like to our businesses. And is that good? Is it bad? So I want to talk about that. When I've heard um, uh, President Trump talk about it before, he would always talk about like reciprocity, right? I never heard of n no permits or constitutional carry nationwide or whatever you want to call it. So if we go to let's just call it constitutional carry across the country, I think it could have an impact on our businesses, like a big impact. But if we go to national reciprocity, I think it'll make our businesses essentially erupt. It's a big difference. Any thoughts on this? Is it just noise? Is it really going to the Supreme Court as what do they call it, an emergency or
I
uh
don't know if they'll get that through, but for us, if that does go through, it would be we have to completely change our marketing. Instead of it's a concealed carry class, it's firearm safety. And that's going to be even with the constitutional carry states, we're already having to start doing that.
Yeah. So if you're in the constitutional carry, which they've been doing what for 4 years now, maybe, the thing that we've seen is business literally drops off overnight and tanks for about 5 or 6 months, and then it comes back up when people go out, they buy their guns, and then they're like, oh, this probably wasn't a great choice. So then people start coming back in for training versus a permit. I 100% agree with that, Ben. Um, what about, are you set up if we go to, well, let's back up. Will it go to the Supreme Court? What do we think?
I think it's a lot of noise. I just don't think that they're going to take a case like getting rid of uh, permits altogether. I really think there's a strong push to do the reciprocity, national reciprocity. That, in my mind, is maybe a really good possibility this presidential term. I thought we were going to get it on Trump's first term, but we didn't quite go there. Congress just wasn't quite bold enough. Oh, I remember right. There was a shooting of big headline shooting right when they were about to push it through the
Oh,
House.
that's convenient.
It might have been the Portland down in Florida, Parkland down in Florida.
Mm.
That one. I think that was the one that held it up. But I just don't. I follow this stuff quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
on what goes to the court and what they take. And it's amazing how many things they don't take that looks like they would be great gun
Mm-hmm.
cases, for us, whether it's an AR ban, a magazine
Mm-hmm.
ban, and they're just not jumping on a lot of these things. So for them to jump on a no permit required case, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's I think too far for this court.
I kind of feel like there's also the fact that we've got precedent in Bruin. We, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we went through Bruin, and while they said that you have to be able to get a license, they also specifically said that local governments had the right to set restrictions, even to the point where, they enable, the fact of government buildings, post offices, schools, things like that. They said that in places where, where there's, historical tradition of these limitations, that local governments would have, would have the right to set those limitations. They also said specifically that, that shall issue is compliant with, with the Second Amendment. So I think, this wouldn't be a Supreme Court thing. This would have to go to legislature. There would have to be a federal. there would have to be a federal there would have to be a federal constitutional carry before before the Supreme Court would ever touch this. We also have to remember that NYSERPA versus Bruin it was in court for close to 12 years. And I don't think I don't think that Trump has any possibility of staying in office for 12 years. I think that's an issue. But Lisa, the one thing I got to tell you is here in New York, where we do have 18-hour class requirements for, for getting a carry permit, it's driven it's driven huge competition, and it's driven prices from back when I got my permit, where the class was close to $1,000. I've seen people this week advertising $150 classes. And there's hundreds of people advertising on Facebook, for these classes with really, really low value. Where my value has always been pushing the non-resident permits. So I think HR 38 with,
Mhm.
you know, HR 38 with reciprocity, I think that's going to hurt our businesses a lot faster.
Interesting. What about the DOJ and what is it, 25, 23 states signing off on, I think it's 23 states signing off on the,
The semi-auto and assault weapon ban. I honestly I think that's actually going to open the door where you may find in some of the states with heavy heavy requirements around pistols, the 10 round magazine limits.
Mm,
I think that's actually going to make firearms become cheaper because we pay an added tax because we have to buy specially skewed handguns, and they just don't make a lot of them. You can't buy a Glock Blue Label gun with a ten round magazine because they're made for police officers. So I think that if that goes through, it's going to make things a lot easier. It's going to get us closer. But again, I think that the long term, it's going to take a long time.
mm,
And I think
sure.
that we have to continue to show our value. We have to show how we're all about enabling people to be legal and not become criminals. And keep our prices up so that we're not looking like those, like those fly by nights that aren't going to comply with the other states around us.
Hmm. Let me talk about pricing for just for a minute. I teach a lot of NRA products, and I would say the NRA Basics of Pistol Shooting course has been um $150 for 10 years.
Yeah, and we're seeing around here for 250 or so in the New York area.
But
But
it just hasn't changed. Even all that competition that has come and gone, I I have a really hard time pushing that price up even. I think on my website, on my website it's 149. Um, on the NRA platform, I think it's 149. But I can sell the first steps course for 164.
but you really want to think about what your marketing is and how you sell it. The marketing for Basic Pistol is not, at least for my market, it's not Basic Pistol because that doesn't get you anything in New York.
Well, you can get
What
a permit in Virginia with your
in
basic
Virginia,
course.
but not in
Very
New York.
different. Yeah, of course.
But in New York, you can sell Basic Pistol as the opening for a Massachusetts license, for a Connecticut license, and for a New Jersey license. And if you market it for that as one of your first
Hmm.
steps into those licenses,
Hmm.
then you're able to drive it from a $150 course to a $400 course.
Can you use the NRA Basics of Pistol course as the first 8 hours of your New York permit?
If you have it, if you documented it as being approved, you've got to have every class for New York. You've got to
Mm,
have it approved
sure.
by every county that will accept your certificates.
Right. That's
So
great.
we have 100 and something counties, and you have to get it approved by every single one of them.
Sure.
So if you show, NRA basic pistol or CCW, as long as they sign off that they'll take your certificate based on that class, you can use it.
Very good. All right. Any other thoughts on the law changing? Because I'm going to move over to another subject.
I don't
Well,
see
did you
any
hear
change.
where? Oh, go ahead.
Just
Did you
because
hear?
Go
everything's
ahead,
about
Grant.
money. Like New Jersey alone charges $150 for your carry permit, and then you have to renew it every 2 years. At the end of the day, it's all about money. I don't see this. I see like they could federally, legalize reciprocity or whatever they want to do, but like mentioned before, each state can still follow their own guidelines and local state laws that will override anything federally. So someone like me that's out of New Jersey being the newest concealed carry state in the country, I think that would hurt me a lot. Because 99% of my clientele are New Jersey residents, and of course, I get some that are dual residents or out of the area every so often. So I prefer it not to happen business wise. Um,
I prefer
from,
to, right?
yeah, from that standpoint. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But just like same thing, I always compare it to marijuana, still considered a Schedule I narcotic, but in New Jersey you can still purchase it for medicinal recreational use. That overrides the federal law being a Schedule I narcotic. So it's the same thing with the concealed carry, I think.
Right.
But
Great.
Grant, again, thinking about it directly, and I don't want to go too far into it, it's how you market it, right? What with New Jersey, the fact that you've got to do training every 2 years and you've got to renew it with a new CCAR, that's like, taking your value, and you've got an insurance policy of uh you know of of money coming in for the rest of your life as long as they want to do it. Reciprocity is not going to change a darn thing. With the fact of all your local residents are still going to have their local permit. So you're still going to get your $200 CCAR class every 2 years.
All right. Very good. All right. I want to move on and talk a little bit about mentorship, mentorship necessary versus coaching, or the importance of mentorship, not just in your business. We're going to talk about business, but really like in your life, right? And then I also want to talk about, are you a mentor to somebody else? Maybe not necessarily in the gun industry, but in life and faith, life, Boy Scouts, whatever that is. But how important mentorship is to young people. Like in my personal business, like I feel like I've kind of hit a ceiling. And I was like, I need a mentor. I need somebody to one to like really help me make some really tough business decisions, and to like really keep me accountable for my time and my money and my business money, and just continue to grow so you don't stall out, right? Um, I would not consider myself to this group a mentor. I would feel like much more like a coach, like I'm helping you grow. A mentor is a one-on-one, intimate time that you have with somebody, and that you are truly accountable for your time and your actions, and you take response for that. So if you want to watch I think it's like 5 minutes of this quick 5-minute video. Let's see here. All right. All right. If you do me a favor, give me a thumbs up if you can hear everything here in a second.
One of my mentors, Ron Bruder, you know, taught me what mentorship was really all about. I met him professionally. I was introduced to him. He was very accomplished, very successful, many years my senior, very wise. We got along. And, a week or two later, I had a question that I thought he might be able to help me with. And I called him and he took my call. I'd only met him once. And then he took my call again. And then we met for lunch. He just kept saying yes. And he became my mentor, And I remember I was at his house one day And I was leaving, and I put my arm around him, and I used the M word for the very first time. I said, "I love that you're my mentor." And he said something to me that I didn't expect. He said, "And I love that you're mine." And that's when I realized a mentor relationship is more like a friendship. You know, you can't just walk up to a random person and say, "Will you be my mentor?"
Of course.
Just like you can't walk up to a random person and say, "Will you be my friend?" That's not how it works. Mentor relationships evolve because a mentor always has time for you. They see something in you for some reason that they make time for you, and they learn as much as they teach.
Yeah.
They come into it because they learn something. I never knew that Ron was getting something from our time together. I thought he was just doing me favors because he was an amazing guy. And a mentor relationship it's a mentor-mentor relationship. So this whole idea of like, you're assigned to be someone's mentor,
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe that could work.
Well, that seems a little, again, going back to sort of a transactional, like,
Transactional. You know, you have to have mentors and you have to seek them out.
Yeah.
I remember when I was junior looking for a job, you know, people would say, "What are you looking for?" And my standard answer in every interview as an entry-level, you know, idiot was, that's the theme in my career.
the next book.
I'm just a more senior idiot now.
Yeah.
When they say, "What are you looking for?" my answer was always the same. I said, "What I'm looking for is probably akin to looking for love, but I'm looking for a mentor." And every job that I was looking for, I was more concerned about the people I would work for than I was how much they would pay me or whether the account was high profile or low profile. And so I took jobs with like accounts that nobody had ever heard of because I didn't care. I cared about the people I was going to work for. I wanted to work with really smart, amazing people who would teach me and help me grow.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I got to work with some of these wonderful people.
Yeah.
All right, what do you think? What is the value of mentorship? Are you currently a mentor? Are you currently getting mentored? I would say for me, I have a mentorship program Saturdays in my basic pistol class. If you come through my instructor course, I'm a training counselor, if you didn't know that. If you come through my instructor course, we give opportunity to be mentored on Saturdays, right? I spend time with you. I give you opportunities to fail and grow, and that I don't know any of other instructors that let people come in their class and let them teach or give somebody on time on a range with a real student who's never held a gun before. So that's mentorship. And then after each class, we talk about, okay, how was your communication skills? Did your student understand stuff? So like we kind of go through things and we really mentor, and sometimes we talk about personal things that they're working through, and who am I? I don't know. I just give them my opinion. They take it or leave it. But there is a mentor mentee, and I learn a lot from my guys. None of my guys are kids, right? Like most of them have 20 years on me. And so I get an opportunity to gain wisdom from these guys who's been in the military for 25 years. Um and it is a give. Like it's a give and take. I give, they take, they give, and I take. And I think it's really been, for me, it's been really been valuable in not only my, personal life and my marriage, but in my business. Like it really makes a big difference. Is anybody a mentor on purpose? Not a parent, a mentor on purpose. Jamal, what you got?
Um, so I've got 27 years. Well, yeah, this year makes 27 years being in the military. So I deal with soldiers on a daily basis. Well, not really. I won't say on a daily basis, kind of. Um, because I deal with like six different units. Um, and I'm guiding soldiers on why they stay in the military, you know. So a lot of soldiers come and talk to me, hey, this is what I got going on, and I just kind of because I've been doing this so long, being in the military, and going from the aspect of kicking the doors and shooting bad guys to being a guy now. Hey, this is the reason why they stay in the military. You know, um, and life experiences that I have experienced through the military and outside of the military, and I can give soldiers, because a lot of soldiers when they come in, like especially younger soldiers, they have no idea. They're like, well, on my civilian side, I got a good job, and they don't look at what the military has beneficial for them. So, I kind of guide them on different things. I have soldiers come and just talk to me on a personal level. And it's all about how your personality is. I'm a very friendly person, and I joke around a lot. Um, I let soldiers know, hey, when you come, I see you, I'm going to joke with you. So that way they feel comfortable that they can come and see me outside of military stuff. And if they have a personal stuff going on in their life, they can come and talk to me. And I've learned that through the years, because as a young soldier, when I have personal issues, you gravitate to somebody that, can guide you and help you out. I have my own mentors. I've had other soldiers that in the career field that I'm in, that I've talked to them, and they came into this career field and they look to me as their mentors too. Um, so it's just something that I like doing. I like guiding people. Um, and I have, even with my business, I have a mentor that when I came with my business, I was like, hey, I called him up, hey, and I met him. He's a retired lieutenant colonel. I met him one time. He came, gave us a aim point class. He used to work for aim point. He came and gave us a class on aim point. He told me about, I don't know if you ever heard of gun sight, out in Arizona. So he's an instructor there, and he told me about gun sight, this free course. I took it, and since then, and this is like 15 years I've known him now. And when I was creating my business, I called him up and I asked his suggestion on, hey, should I, what name should I use? This is a list of names I gave him. And even when I was trying to figure out what route to go, what classes I need, I say, hey, Freddie, I was like, what classes do I need to take as an instructor? Even though I'm already an instructor for the military, and outside of that, I want to get certifications through, the national route. He's like, USCCA. He told me what courses to take through the USCCA. He told me the NRA courses. So I'm like, okay. So I took the USCCA. I'm going to take some NRA courses this summer. So, and then I'm going to see Freddie in August, because I'm going to be out at Gunsight in August. And I called him up and I was like, hey, Fred, I got opportunities to take these 2 classes. Which one are you teaching at? He's like, I'm teaching the carbine course. I was like, okay, that's the one I'm taking.
Awesome.
so I can see him. But having a mentor is a great thing, and being a mentor is a great thing. I tell
I think
everybody, if you can do that, do it. In life, even outside of being a military, just on a personal level, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you need somebody to talk to.
100%. 100%. Well, I have a instructor course in July if you want to come to Virginia. I don't know where you are. I forget. I forget where you are. Or are you in Arizona?
No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, good to drive down. You can come hang
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, July's busy. Pretty much this from here all the way through August. I'm a very busy person. In July. My wife, she's going to be out of town on a business trip, so I'm stuck. I won't say I'm stuck, but I have my sons, and they're gonna be down at the beach all summer, so I've got to keep an eye on them. And then they're going away on a mission trip for church. So then that time, me and my wife, we're gonna take some time and spend together.
I think it's so great putting kids on mission trips. Like they come home different kids.
Yeah, my kids, they're actually going to North Carolina, where they had the hurricane that came through. I think that's Ash. like Asheville. So they're going over there to help build some stuff, you know. So they'll be
That's
gone for a
awesome.
week, you know. Last year they went on two different ones. So
That's
it's a good thing.
fantastic.
Get
Yeah.
my hip.
Yeah, go serve your community and let me and mom be alone. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, anybody else on mentorship, the impact of mentorship, or finding a mentor, or what qualifies somebody to be a good mentor? Can somebody younger than you be a mentor? What do you think? I
Well,
think,
I think you said something before. I mean, you said that you look for mentors in other areas that maybe you don't have the experience, the business side, things like that. I think a lot of us, I spent a lot of times sharing our communications in our classes, getting better at our marketing, you know, just how do we become better marksmen, things like that. But we don't necessarily have the tools for the business side. So, getting those kind of mentors, and even if that's someone that you hire in as, part-time help,
mhm.
that's really, really valuable. When I started my first business, I actually had I used SCORE, the Senior Corps of Retired Engineers, or retired executives, and they make volunteers available from every part of the world, who've been very successful. And I actually shared, by the way, I shared links to the SBA Small Business Development Centers. They make counselors available, and SCORE, they make great resources available as well. I've shared those in the chat.
Thanks. Thank you. And I'm also going to put, if you're new here, I also put in the chat, if you don't know the chat's at the bottom there. It says chat. Our Bullseye Business Blueprint course, if again, most of my, like 95% of my stuff is free. Um, this is our online business class. You're welcome to sign up and take it. It's a couple hours long, but it helps you walk through starting up and what starting your business, naming, super basic marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, all that fun stuff. So if you're new, it's bullseyebusinessblueprint.com. It's in the chat, along with SCORE and the SBA government partnership. All right, anybody else? Let's do one more. The point of today is go find a mentor and be a mentor.
I think too, it's important to point out that social media and groups like this is mentorship. I mean, you're mentoring all of us right now. Every time I come here, I learn something from somebody.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of value in also just reaching out and joining groups and just talking, because then you may find that really good mentor that you have a deeper connection with.
I might say maybe in my own brain, there's a tiny bit difference between mentoring and coaching. I would call this coaching. In my humble opinion, I would call this coaching. Mentor is personal and deep and gets in your dirt.
Yeah,
And I don't really get in your dirt,
makes sense.
right? I can call out some stuff like I might see or help you keep accountable from week to week for as far as your business growth. But really, a mentorship is like up in your business. I think this is really good coaching, and I learn a lot too all the time, right? All right, Roger, I know you're a mentor. You're a man's man. What you got?
Mentor to, well, I mentor, you remember Jamar?
Hmm.
Yeah. I sit down with one-on-ones with him, at times when he's not busy with his family, and we chop it up real good. So basically helping each other out. So,
That's what mentorship is.
yeah.
It's a both giving. Cool. All right. Seth, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I had a couple of really, really good mentors coming up in my career, and I learned what it was about. And when I when I came to a situation where I could be a mentor to people as I got more senior, I loved it. And it's selfish in a way because you feel so good I had a college professor that helped me out, and I had taught some. I had been a teacher in a few places, and I had taken people just like I had a college teacher who said, do you want to? Does anyone want to do this? And I said, yeah, and he helped me through all the way. And I've done that for countless college students. And in my business, um, mentorship is so very important. And I've had them. I've had great ones, and I've had tons of them. And it's sort of selfish because you feel so good, and on top of that, when you're bringing up people on the same job as you, you're making your life easier later because you're bringing them up right, so to speak. In many cases, with I guess junior instructors, I imagine it would be incredibly important to make sure they're brought up right, that they're not jerks or they're not egomaniacs, and just to make sure that they are treating people the way they should be treated, and they get a lot more across. So yeah, I mean, I think mentorship is incredibly important. I've done it for underprivileged areas in my area, in my job, and it's incredibly. It feels great.
Awesome. Okay. Any final thoughts before we say goodnight here? Again, I apologize for last week. I thought I would have recovered a little faster than I did, but any last thoughts? Okay.
I
All
do
right,
have
guys.
one thing, Lisa.
Sure.
Have you heard the bill that was passed in North Carolina to make their concealed carry permits a lifetime?
Oh, I like that. I have to think about that.
That's awesome. We used to have that up in upstate New York as well, but they just got rid of it in 2022.
So what they do, just cancel everybody who had a lifetime?
No, so if you've got a full unrestricted carry, which means you can go to and from your mailbox, um, you now have to recertify that every 3 years.
Okay. Okay. Awesome, guys. I appreciate you. Love you all. I will see you next Monday. If you need me, everybody has my contact information. Come hang out with us on Instructor Stash, and I'll see you next week.
Good night.
And thanks again for running this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
good night. I might come up there and sit in that class in July.
Come hang out. It's all right. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Good night.